Hello everyone, my name is Valgan101 and welcome back. First, I want to get a few things out of the way before I begin. Thank you to my brother who left me some positive feedback, and a big shout out to my first sub from Stay Gone. You rock, man. So, this week has been interesting to say the least. There's been a lot of stuff building over the last few weeks after I released my first video, and I wanted to touch on one thing that's been kind of at the forefront of everyone's, or at least the more vocal minds. Now, I love Reddit. It's the ultimate time waster slash great communication tool slash forum slash product promotion slash news bite site ever. To me, no other site comes close when it comes to sharing and talking about content. However, before I get into the big topic at hand, I just want to remind everyone that even though Reddit is huge, it's in no way a complete representation of the community at large, just like a forum is. And although the things discussed on Reddit and forums affect everyone, forums and Reddit still are a minority. Now that the preface is out of the way, let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is pay to win, where it came from and how it relates to Black Desert. Massive multiplayer online role-playing games have always been a premium experience, as the games connect potentially thousands of gamers together, all playing the same game. The reality of the premium costs that come from anything that remotely resembles an MMORPG is that infrastructure, continued development, content updates, and maintenance require a steady stream of funds in order to pay a support team to keep the game running so that you, the player, can continue to play unabated. Now, the unfortunate reality of every product or service is that after a product has been released, eventually after an X amount of time, the product will reach what economists and analysts call market saturation, or when the sales bottom out and you can no longer bring in additional subscribers. Though attrition and constant release schedule of new and better looking MMOs, the development of the game has to be in a state of perpetual development, releasing new content updates and patches to keep subscribers happy and paying. Unfortunately, with all things that gain popularity, eventually the MMO that was beloved by millions begins a steady decline without continued zeal and support. Now, prior to around 2004 and 2005, there wasn't really an MMO out there that had a business model that could really provide the best of both worlds, with notable exception of the first Guild Wars. Enter free-to-play. Suddenly, there were MMOs that were coming out with no barrier to entry whatsoever. These are your MapleStories, your RuneScapes, your Fly for Funds, etc., etc. Instead of getting their means of funding from just an increasingly stagnating and hemorrhaging player base, gamers could come and go, drop a few dollars, or a few $1,000s in some cases, and give the publishers and developers potentially more avenues for money than ever before. Now, pay to win. There are a few different definitions for pay to win, but I'm going to stick to two. Pay to win is a concept where developers release content that gives either a statistical advantage or a means to bypass an artificially induced progression system. Skipping to max level, getting gold prestige, or buying an item with cash that confers an advantage over a player who has not paid would be an example of pay to win in this sense. Now, the other popular definition contains the former, but also includes a means of making the progression system less of an issue by letting you, the player, breeze through progression a little bit faster. So, if you've just got into Black Desert and have not been keeping up with the forum drama or Reddit drama, let me spell it out for you what has been going on these last few weeks. There's an item in the cash shop for Black Desert called the Trent Suit, or as players call it, the Ghillie Suit. It can only be purchased from the store, and it cannot be made in the game through normal means. It does two things. It completely hides your nameplate in combat with PvP, and it glows. Now, I must confess, I've not seen the suit in action. However, that has not stopped the community on the forums and on Reddit from discussing this endlessly since it first got wind of it a few months ago. I'm not a competitive gamer in most aspects, and I'll likely not actively engage in PvP as I find the other aspects of the game more entertaining. Now, Don't get it twisted, though. I love me some Dota 2, and you'll see me talking mad shit about that. But I can still see how this can affect most players who PvP or don't PvP once they reach a certain point in Black Desert. Picture this. You're farming a lesser known grinding spot for hours. A player runs up, flags himself as PvP, PKs you, you lose 1% XP. Now normally in other games that allow this sort of thing, you can immediately learn who they are and hopefully avoid or get revenge in the future. But with the suit, this can potentially have game-breaking problems. Penalties be damned. At 50 or above, 1% XP could be hours of progression that you just lost. Now, before I get you too riled up, know that there is a counter to this suit. It's called the Flare, and although you cannot craft it, there is a means of obtaining it. And an advantage doesn't mean that they are impervious. If you've been playing that long, there's likely a wide assortment of abilities at your disposal that should give you adequate defenses should you be blindsided with a Dick PvP player. Excuse me. But in fact, the fact remains that the item exists and can be purchased from the store. It's an optional purchase that gives you a player an advantage. All the outfits in the store give other buffs that make progression faster, which, personally, I don't consider essential in any sense of the word. XP boosts do nothing for me. It's like you're paying for the speed pass at a theme park, only to wait in a shorter line for the same ride. I understand that in other countries like Korea or Russia or Japan, this type of thing adds more value to the game because it feels like a worthwhile purchase. But here in the States, and in Europe, gamers have already paid the gatekeeper for the privilege to play the game. Excuse me. Isn't it a little too much to ask to make things a little bit more competitive for players who don't have the funds beyond their initial purchase to add a little bit more fairness to this? Or am I asking too much? Let me know what you guys think. If you thought I made some fair points, please like and subscribe. If you disagree or want to see more, leave your notes in the comments below. I want to know what you guys think. Once again, thank you for thank you for watching. Hope you all have a nice day and keep playing Black Desert.